Hey everybody, it's Tara here with Beyond This Reality Incorporated. Another question from our mini series called the Question Series. And today's question is this space of how do I stay positive? How do I know what the right choice is? How do I navigate between good and bad and all that? And I bring you just this interesting space that says, what if you left that battering that happens, right? Between good and bad, positive and negative, high vibration, low vibration, right and wrong. Like to me, that's like just being pummeled in between two strong sides, right? And what if, and I actually wrote it down and so I want to read it. What if you moved into dedicating your life to experiencing and creating the most fulfilling space of stepping forward into the possibilities? What if what you are here to create has never been possible before? It was actually impossible until you. And I bring you that because when we're constantly looking for what's the right choice, or what's good, or what's going to bring me to positive vibration sometimes, or what's going to make me feel better, sometimes we're moving away from what we could actually create. And I want to give you an analogy. And I'm not a sporty person at all. I've always been an artist and I don't know what else. I enjoy sports though. Like I enjoy yoga and climbing and a lot of things like that. But I love the embodiment and watching certain sports. So one of the sports that I really have come to love is pole vaulting. I love the whole energy of it, the whole philosophy of it, the way that people show up. So I watched a show with this gentleman named Joe, and I think he was like 69 turning 70, and he had his own barn where he created his own pole vault pit, and he was talking about how fulfilling it was and that his wife had taken it on at like 60 something. Like she had decided that she was going to take on pole vaulting as well. And how he described it was this space of it was his whole life. Like, because every single choice that he made would affect how he could vault. And so he filtered through all of his choices, what things he put in his body, whether he drank alcohol or not, how much he was eating, how much rest he was getting, like how he talked to himself. Because every single one of those choices affected the way that he had the freedom to use his body in vaulting. And so he honored his choices and he honored his body, this vessel, in order to have that freedom. Because to him, it was the greatest expression of his essence, his spirit, and his body. Beyond this, the sport of pole vaulting is really interesting. And I'm sure it's not the only sport that's like this. But there's this energy of camaraderie, like of really having each other's back. Even if you're on the opposing team, like they want you to do well. They want you to like push the limits, because as you push the limits, it allows like this space to occur where others can see that it's possible, and then they take that too. So I don't even know what the current record is, but I think it's like 18 something. Maybe it's even closer to 20. And I watch as people who used to pole vault, people who coach, people who are watching it now, like they're constantly watching this kid who is like really breaking the records all the time. Before him, those kinds of jumps were impossible. But because of him, they become possible. And then it's just like they break the barrier. Like they break the barrier of impossibility. And then other people are rising up in order to be able to do it as well. So I bring this analogy to you because I wonder what kind of team and life that you've set up? Have you set up people in your life who are cheering you on because as you move forward and do the thing that you know you're here to do that has been impossible, and you might have people around you who say, it's impossible. Yes, it has been impossible until you. So are you willing to hold fast? And do you have people behind you like, yes, go and do it, please go and do it, please and go and do it? Because if you can do it, I can do it. Do you have people in your camp that are cheering you on? And yeah, are you listening to those who are saying it has been impossible? And are you willing to be the person who brings it into possibility? Okay, so it might not be something like breaking a record in track. It might be living from a space of joy all the time. Maybe it's not been possible until you. I mean, and is that even something that's worthy of going for? Right? Or is it only a record? But it is a record to break if you live in joy, if you live in possibility. What else have you been asked to create? Maybe it's a business that is not built on overwhelm, that's not built on breaking your back, but is built on constantly following the flow, being in the energy of creation and then being in the energy of rest when it requires it. What if it's being a parent in a totally different way? A way that supports them as an infinite being rather than as a child who must listen to who you are. You know, one that empowers them to make choices that are generative for their future, that allows them to make mistakes and to learn their own way. What if you are being asked to write a book and maybe you write a book within 3 days because it just comes and flows from you with ease, and it's been impossible for anyone else to write a book that's actually a contribution and incredibly generative for others in that amount of time. Maybe you write it in a night. Who knows? Are you willing to break the barriers of impossibility by just showing up as who you are? Right? And are you willing to look at every single facet of your life? Just like that pole vaulter Joe, who was going to turn 70, like that he looks at every aspect of his life and said, does this contribute to my desired life? Or does this draw me away from it? Does it make me heavy? Does it like destroy me? Does it destroy that generative energy? You know, does he look, I'm sure he looks at his relationships as well and says, you know, is this actually productive for me, or is this destructive for me? Am I, you know, like how he talks to himself. Is it productive for me? Is it generative, or is it destructive? Well, if it's destructive, like I have a choice right here, right now. Like how many times do we go, well, why am I being that way? No, right now, right now. What is my choice? Do I want to continue on with this way of being, or would I like to divert and be something else? So when we're in the energy of right or wrong, winner or a loser, positive, negative, and all that, like we're in this constant battle. And I don't know about you, but I really don't like the battle. Like I don't like right or wrong at all, because inherently in right or wrong, that means if someone's right, somebody else is wrong. Like if my truth is the right truth, then your truth must be the wrong truth. And some people might say it's pie in the sky or ridiculous that I believe that the good of all concerned can happen. All can be productive, collaborative. Everything can be for the good of all concerned if everyone would choose it. And so when I'm in that energy and space, I ask myself to move out of what is right or wrong. And I ask myself to move into what is generative for all concerned. So Like my choices, I ask for them to be generative. I ask for my actions to be generative. When I'm actually in the space of right or wrong, I want to tell you how it's counterproductive to me, not just like how it makes me feel, but how it's counterproductive. There's a part of me that wants everyone to win. And so I usually will take myself out unconsciously. It's not happening consciously, but I'm in this battle, right? Because I'm like, okay, if I'm winning, they're losing. If they're winning, I'm losing. And so a lot of times, like my body will stay in this state of flux or in this paralyzing. I'm never quite anything. Like I'm never quite successful enough. I'm never quite a failure, but I'm staying in this flux because I want to prove myself right, but I also want to prove the other people right that say like it can't be done the way that you're doing it. So I stay in this subpar place. The moment that I say everybody wins, right? Everybody wins. It's a contribution to everyone. If I go full forward into what I know is possible with my life and with the way that I do things. Like, so if my viewpoint is that I can be lavishly overflowing, i.e. I can receive all that is required and more, so that I'm constantly in the space of giving without judgment and not discernment, but judgment on who receives. It just comes out and overflows and gives. And I can do that in the means that I desire, which is through art, self-development coaching, intuitive body processes, and so on, and living the life that I live. Then I'm willing to receive like all the funds, all the resources, all the clients, and all the joy and experiences that I can absolutely handle and more, so that I can overflow to others. But if in there, I'm trying to prove that I'm right, there's a part of me that stops that because I don't want to prove that I'm right and make somebody else feel bad. And so then I'm constantly in this battle, and then I pull up the person that I want to prove they're right, that it's impossible. And so I'm constantly in this flux, and I stay in this subpar area. So this is kind of asking another question that other people put, like, why is it that I never quite get out of just barely surviving, having enough to survive, but not enough to thrive, right? It's because you're in this unconscious battle. And would you give your body permission today to no longer be right or wrong, to prove other people right or wrong, even in what you're bringing to the world? So let's say we're bringing to the world, I have friends who are, vegan, and so they're bringing that. What if it's not approving that somebody else's choices are wrong? And I don't believe that they show up that way, but if they gave up that completely and just said, here's an offering, right? Here's an offering that is super nourishing for my body, for them, right? And I would like to offer it to you to see whether it would be nourishing and expansive for you. Would you like to try it? It's just a choice. Like, what if it's just a choice? And like for me, living from the spirit, living in energetics, following the flow, using body processes, listening to the body, is a choice for me. It's super generative to me. And I offer it I offer it and just say, this has been super expansive for me. Take it or leave it. If it's working for you to be super analytical, chart your course, know your step by step, and that works for you, please carry on. But if you're struggling and you're stressed out and you're overwhelmed and you'd like to choose or a chance to try something and experience something different, I give this like fully. And like in these videos, it's completely free. And if you would like more experience and you would like to work personally, like, come and work with me. And it's not wrong what you've been doing. It's just, here's another way that really works for me. And it's really working for the people I work with. And I want to shout it from the rooftops for anyone. Here's the thing, for anyone that senses in themselves that this is something they would like to experience. And hooray for those who choose something different and it works for you. That's not wrong, right? Mindfulness, I don't follow mindfulness. Like, to me, mindfulness is slow to me, all right? That doesn't mean I'm not mindful. I am, but more times than not, the brain part, the learning part, is at the back of the train for me. First is energy or awareness, right? Then it's the body, then it's emotions, and then it's the mind. The mind understands so much slower than our awareness. Our awareness is like, boom, let's do that. And like, if we stop to say why, it would take us a long time, and we might actually miss the energy of opportunity or possibility that would flow, right? How many of us have met somebody and you're just like, oh, you're totally supposed to be in my life. You don't have the reasons why. Energy said, okay? And then it flows into your body, and then into your emotions, which is energy, emotion, and then into your understanding. And then later you could explain it, but it might even have taken 3 months for you to be able to explain it. That's where I'm at. So I have done tons of study on mindfulness. And so even though it's not what I lead with, I want to clarify what I said earlier. It's not what I lead with. I still embody mindfulness, but it's definitely not where I lead. Does it make it wrong? No. Oh my gosh, look at how many different movements forward and how much good the mindfulness movements have made, right? There's all kinds of different ways, just like there's all kinds of different religions that lead people to their higher life, or they lead them away. It's all neutral, right? Religion's used for good, or they can be used for bad. Spirituality can be used for good, or it can be used to trap people. All of the things that we have available to us can either be chosen for expansion or destruction. So again, I just go back to, I want to read this again, okay? What if instead of choosing right or wrong, winning or losing, high or low vibration, good or bad, that we used all of them as neutral, as indicators, as powerhouses that can catapult us forward? What if they were all invitations and guideposts, yeah? And what if we instead dedicated our life to experiencing and creating the most fulfilling space of stepping forward into possibilities, stepping forward into our choices, making new things possible that have never been possible before, and may never be possible unless you happen to them, like you choose it to make it possible. I would totally love to know what your thoughts are on this video today. And any other questions that you have, please send them to tara.mccullum@gmail.com, or go on my website, beyondthisreality.com, and you can email me through there. And if there's anybody out there who is wanting to move forward and to have somebody to work directly with them, or even be in one of my groups, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to have an initial consultation with you and talk through that, or even do a quick email. And let's see what else is possible. Otherwise, enjoy all these videos. And if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can listen to them all for free. And send me your comments and send me your questions. Thanks so much, everybody. Have an amazing day, and allow whatever will be to generate for you. Thanks.